welcome back. Hope you're having a good week. Shout out to any new subscribers. Appreciate you guys. I want to share something that Henry Cavill mentioned during a BBC radio interview while promoting Enola Holmes 2, which is a total joy and delight to watch. I really, really liked it. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it, especially if you enjoyed the first one. I think I like this one even more than the first one because you get to see the relationship more between Enola and Sherlock. So Henry Cavill definitely plays a bigger role in this one, his character. But he's asked about coming back, and he says that the great thing about this is there's no spoilers because we're kind of there's nothing to spoil yet for Superman coming back as Superman. And then the host mentions when all of the Comic-Con rumors were about, and so I want to share Henry Cavill's response to that.
Had all those rumors about Comic-Con. You must have been like, "Oh, just you wait, guys, please, just you wait."
There was a lot, because all the rumors were coming out, and obviously I was working and had a lot of people going, "So you going to Comic-Con?" And I was like, no, I'm not. They're like, but you are, aren't you? And I was like, no, really, I'm not.
Who's going to believe when he says no, right?
And then obviously having the other secret in the back of my head, and I was like, I'm just going to have to ride this one out and see what happens. Then obviously everyone was so disappointed, and I just thought, okay, just patience, it will come.
You know who I blame is everyone involved with the wonderful production of Spider-Man 3, essentially. No Way Home, Andrew Garfield. I can't believe anyone ever again. So, Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so I found this pretty interesting because it's come up a few times in interviews since he started doing the very first interview with Josh Horowitz on the Happy Side Confused podcast. It's come up a couple of times in interviews, the rumors about Comic-Con. But in this one, he says he was working, and people were asking him, "Oh, so you're going to Comic-Con?" And he's like, "No." People obviously are not going to believe him because he's not going to say, even if he was going, he was not going to say yes because that's supposed to be a big reveal or a big surprise, right? But there was a rumor that came out after, the reason I mentioned that he said he was working is because there was a rumor that came out shortly after Comic-Con, and obviously he was not there, and all of us were pretty heartbroken and sad that he didn't appear there. There was a rumor that came out that he didn't go because he had COVID. Obviously that couldn't have been true if he said he was working because around the time that, that must have not been true because he said he was working. Obviously there could have been some time that he was talking about, I was working and these rumors are coming out and people are asking if I'm going to Comic-Con and he's saying no. But if he had been working, then he probably didn't have COVID during the time of Comic-Con. So I don't think that was true. And if it was, now that all of that time has passed, we know he's back as Superman. There's nothing left to wonder or potentially spoil. We all know now. So he could just say, yes, we had planned or we had discussed, that I was going to show up at Comic-Con, but I ended up testing positive for COVID-19 and I couldn't go. There wouldn't be a reason to not say that if that were the case now, because now enough time has passed. The announcement, it's official that he's back as Superman. So I don't know where that came from. And it also makes me wonder where the rumors stemmed from in the first place that he was going to be at Comic-Con. I don't know if it was just scoopers putting stuff out there. I don't know if it was, people at WB at the time with the old regime that wanted to put stuff out there and, get the fans hyped up and then see how toxic we are when things don't go our way and we don't get what we want. Who knows what it could have been? I have no idea. It could just been people throwing stuff out there because we were all hoping and praying that he was going to be in Black Adam, and that would have been an amazing opportunity to have him show up at Comic-Con and, make a big announcement. I don't know where those rumors came from, but obviously they were not true. And he's made it pretty clear that there weren't plans for him to go to Comic-Con and do any kind of announcement or appearance. But he did know at the time about the Black Adam cameo. So they already knew that that was going to happen, which makes sense that they were trying to make it happen because Comic-Con was what, the end of July, and then Black Adam came out in October, but the deadline for them to get the scene shot and put into the movie and everything was Labor Day. So they didn't have much time between getting a thumbs up from the new regime and then getting Henry to shoot the scene. There wasn't a lot of time, so it seems like he already knew around the time of Comic-Con that they were going to do this scene, and he said he had that secret in the back of his mind, and he knew everyone was upset and disappointed that he wasn't there, but he knew that we just had to wait a little bit longer to find out that he was coming back. So I just wanted to share that because, after Comic-Con, we're like, okay, are we ever going to find out if he was supposed to be at Comic-Con or not? And he has addressed it that no, he was not going to be at Comic-Con. This year anyway. I think it's going to be awesome to see him show up at all of those kinds of things moving forward now, because we know for sure he's back and we're not going to have to, finally this wondering and waiting is over, and we've just been so long wondering and waiting if he was going to come back, and now we know. So when all these con events come around and these big, events, now we're going to know that we don't have to wait and wonder anymore and be disappointed. So that's a really good feeling. And might I add, all these interviews that he's been doing the past couple of weeks, he just seems so happy and joyful. Not that he didn't in the past, but I sense just this real joy. Like it's just a different vibe now that he's back as Superman, and he seems so excited to be back in this role. And I mean, new leadership, which is a huge plus as well. So it's just so exciting. And I also wanted to share a Rotten Tomatoes clip interview because, also, to share what Henry is saying, but also some very interesting footage that made its way into this interview.
This is the great thing about what we do. It's one of those things where we go off the audience, we go off the feed, we go off the success of stuff, we go off the feel of things. And we go off the storytelling, and it's never a quick answer. And so watch this space. We'll see what happens. It's a very exciting time for DC.
Definitely.
And I feel very privileged to be a part of it. I'm all for making sure that the storytelling is true to the nature of what superheroes are, which is giving people an opportunity to have a great time watching something in the cinema or at home, hopefully in the cinema, because these are such big bombastic movies. It's great to see in the cinema.
Yeah.
And then leave the cinema feeling good, and not only feeling good, but feeling like they want to do good. And that's the beauty of superheroes, is that they represent the best of us in different degrees and different facets of. And so to leave the cinema feeling that way, I think can only...
all that beautiful ZSJL footage.
It feels
Love
amazing
it.
to want to go do nice things. And then when you do, the feeling you get, because people feel great when you do nice stuff to them, and that makes you feel good. And it becomes this perpetual cycle, which I'm sure every generation says, but I think we need that right now. And I think it'd be really helpful. So that's all that I really care about. Whatever happens, as long as we end up giving the audience that's the key.
All right, so of course I wanted to share this because, in case you didn't notice, there was a nice good little portion of Zack Snyder's Justice League footage that made it into the interview with Rotten Tomatoes. And of course, no, I'm not trying to promote Rotten Tomatoes because I don't. We all know. But it's really cool when it's happened a couple of times when promoting Black Adam with the Fandango interview. There was some Zack Snyder's Justice League footage that they showed when talking about Justice League members, and with Rotten Tomatoes. And there was actually quite a bit that they shared. They had Man of Steel, BVS, Black Adam. So it's awesome when that happens, because anytime it gets recognized as just as anything in the DC universe, that's important. And especially now with a new direction and new leadership, that's important in my opinion. And yes, people can say, oh, someone's the Rotten Tomatoes cuts these, or so-and-so cuts these, and they don't, it's not up to this person or that person who what footage they use. But they have to get permission to use this kind of footage because they don't own the rights to it. You can't just go and use movie footage however you want, not even these media outlets, not Rotten Tomatoes, Fandango, Entertainment Tonight. They have to get permission to use things like that and credit where it's from. So when we see Zack Snyder's, that's why it's a big deal when we see Zack Snyder's Justice League footage popping up in these in interviews like this, because the old regime, we know, would not have wanted to do that. Because they don't want any fans to think it's canon, or they don't want fans to think that we're going to get the Snyderverse, or that that's the path they're going to follow. So I'm not saying that that's going to happen just because we see it, clips of it in interviews. But when it's given recognition like that as being part of the DC Cinematic Universe, and like I said, now with him being back and with new leadership in place, that's a great thing, because it should be given that kind of recognition. It should be the definitive, movie. When we talk about Justice League, that's what we're referring to. I don't think they're necessarily going to pick one or the other as canon and then follow that. I just think they want to use these characters, the people who are cast in these roles, and let the filmmakers and creators kind of, decide what they want to do with it. But I mean, having Henry Cavill back is obviously a huge step in that direction, and Ben Affleck. So keeping that intact is a really important thing for DC moving forward. So wanted to share that because it's always awesome, when promos or anything WB affiliated, WBD, I should say, affiliated, or DC shares clips from Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's always really cool and to share. So just wanted to, keep everyone updated with all of the, it's going to be a lot to share, exciting stuff with Superman and Henry Cavill moving forward, and I'm excited about it. So thank you guys for watching. Check out the links in the description. Don't forget to, leave a thumbs up and or subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you guys soon.